Welcome to Spitfire Mods. Today we're going to be covering setting up and running your profile on an IR6000. If you've just purchased the profile package from Spitfire Mods, what you're going to want to do is watch our videos on programming the front controllers and get that all programmed before you watch this video, because this video is going to assume you have everything set up and ready to go. So assuming that, we are getting our probes ready for running the machine. This is your upper sensor probe, and it's going to actually plug into the side of the unit. So we're going to plug it in over here on this side. Alright, we've coiled up our excess probe here. This is a stainless steel encased, a thin wire probe, and it's a good candidate for measuring contact temperature. Now the upper heater on this unit basically runs a profile based on the contact temperature of the board. So what you want to do is you want to work your probe out so that it kind of forms a little hand type looking thing with a finger pointing down, so that the tip of the probe is going to be in contact with the board. And we're going to want to bend that so that will stay in nice shape there. We're going to need some Captain tape to tape that in place. So once you have that in place, you might want to throw a couple pieces of tape on it just to keep it from pulling out of place or moving while you're working. Alright, now what we have it coming up onto our end of our rack and then sticking out so that it bends and then touches the tip is basically pointing down onto the table there. Let me take you in for a little closer view. Basically, here is our probe right here, and we have it so that when we let go, it kind of snaps down tight against the board. We're not going to go on top of the chip, we're going to actually go directly next to the chip, touching the board. Now, if that's not pointing quite right, you can bend these stainless steel a little bit so that they kind of take the right shape. And it's kind of like a record player here. We're just going to let it drop right next to the board, so it's making good contact there. Alright, now that you have your profile in there, you're going to have your lower temperature programmed for your bottom heat. This unit has a modified lower probe, which we covered in our previous video. We're going to want to make sure that that probe is not touching the bottom of the board like it is right now. We're going to bend it so that it's kind of about a quarter inch beneath the board. So the lower probe is up to the bottom of the board a quarter inch away. The upper probe is touching, making contact with the board. And then we're going to adjust our height. Now, we brought a measure here so we could measure our height. It's going to be about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half away from the board, and we found that on the IR6000s, if you go any further than an inch and a half, usually your temperature's you're going to have a hard time getting your peak temperature. So that's where we're going to be. Once you're set up, you can put your spotlight on if you like, so you can see your work area. They don't give you a lot of slack on that spotlight, but once you're lit up and your profile's in there, you're just going to push the start button, and then you should fire up. Now you're going to notice your bottom heater is going to take time to heat up to its temperature while you're doing your first phase on your upper unit, and then after that you should run through the rest of the phases. After you've preheated hot enough, you should run through the rest of the phases on the top heater and and climb up to the peak temperature. Now in your profile package you would have your bottom temperature setting. That's going to be the same thing, so you're going to go in and set that before you start. Whether that's for reflowing or reblowing, you would put that number in there, and then your top temperature unit, you're going to program your different steps. And we're not going to go run through the profile right today, but we just wanted to cover getting set up and getting ready to go. But to program it, you're going to press the Set Program button, and this is the same as the PC410 and the other units. We've done other videos with it in, so you could refer to those if you wanted more detail. But you basically press the Set Program button, and then you put in your ramp 1 for your first setting. If you wait too long, it'll jump back to the main menu. So you put in your ramp, and then you're going to press the Parameter Set button, and then it's going to ask you for your first temperature, and then your first dwell time, and then your second ramp, R2, your L2, which is your next temperature, and then your dwell time. So you're going to want to go through there and get all that programmed in, and then once you're all good to go, you're going to want to make sure your fan switch is off. Do not run this unit with the upper fan on. Some people had some questions on that. As far as height, you might want to start at a 2-inch distance, run your profile, and if it doesn't get hot enough, slowly work your upper IR unit here down until it actually gets to the temperature you wanted it to peak at the end, which is one way to be able to set this guy up without changing a lot of parameters. The profiles we sent you should work fine on your unit. The IR6000s don't vary too much, so the profile we sent you should be right on the money. You're just going to basically adjust your upper unit to get your component to reach the desired temperature right at the end of the profile. And then you can lower that if you need to get a little more heat in there, and use a test board when you first run it so that you're not damaging good boards when you're practicing. The rack's a little funny on PS3s, so you're going to have better fit with Xbox. PS3s don't fit so well. And that's pretty much it. There's a serial communications port on the back for a serial port for some older PCs and laptops. Some of the newer IR units from Scotle have a USB port in the front. You can plug in directly to your USB. And so this is the desired probes would be a stainless, and then use a fine wire probe, and you can watch the video on probing your component, but you're going to bring that probe across your CPU and under your heat spreader on your PS3, and that's how you're going to probe your component using a digital meter. So you are going to want to get a digital meter and a small fine wire probe so that you can probe your component. The one thing with IR units are there's no temperatures on the machine that are really going to tell you where your component is, so you're going to have to monitor your component separately. But that's the IR6000. Pretty much covers all the different aspects of it. There's nothing really to adjust on board height. That's kind of fixed. And we just wanted to go over the different probe types. The existing bottom probe can be relocated to make the bottom heat more realistic and work with our profiles. If you don't relocate your bottom probe, you're going to most likely have to up your bottom heat to get the desired output you need. This stainless steel encased probe, it's actually a probe inside of this stainless steel tube, and then in the very tip is the sensor, so all you need to do is get your tip in contact with the board, and that should give you, that drives your upper head unit here. Your hot IR unit, your upper unit, will be driven off of this probe, and that pretty much covers it. So thanks for watching. This is the IR6000 by Scotle. And it's pretty similar to the other IR units, other IR6000 units out there today. Thanks.